Will it start? Nobody knows.
Okay, I think we are live, Stefano. There we are. We are live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Ed and Stefano Show. So, very sorry we're running a little bit late today. I had a bit of a disaster, didn't I, Stefano? My PF Sense decided the hard drive would fail in it, and my whole house router went down, and I had to put another hard drive into the PF Sense box, find a backup, and restore it. So, I think I did pretty well. I did all of that within an hour and a half, so that's not too bad at all. What do you think, Stefano, hey?
Yeah, that's not too bad at all. I wasn't watching the time, but...
Yeah. You were busy looking up something, weren't you? What were you watching?
A bunch of Sky Oblivion videos, getting ready for the remake to come out.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah, I'm excited.
So, what have you been up to since the last episode?
I've been working so much overtime that I haven't had time to do anything aside from like work and sleep. So nothing. And then I've been sick all week. So I've also done nothing with my life this week.
Oh, dear.
I did also not get the candles that I ordered that we're supposed to have for this stream.
No.
They haven't arrived yet. I don't know where they are. I don't know if they've been shipped. I don't know anything about them. So I don't have my candle either. So a whole lot of nothing, Ed. That's really what's been going on with my life.
So that's pretty bad. So you've had no candle and you've been ill. You know, yes. I reckon if you could have lit the candle while you're ill, it would have made you better as well. So
it may have, but I'll never know.
Yeah. So anyway, as everyone knows, watching, Unraid is no longer a teenager. We turned 20 last week. The anniversary was marked by a month-long celebration and discounts. So I'm sure Stefano got his candles at a little bit of a discount there. Yep. And did you buy two, as we were talking about last week?
I did buy two because I was terrified of, like I mentioned before, like ruining one forever. I wanted one to go on the wall that would be completely perfect for years to come. Yeah,
yeah, you got to keep it
pristine.
So, other Unraid news. Let's start with some Unraid news. There is a new feature bounty program that is out. So basically what this is this initiative opens up a collaborative channel between the Unraid team and the community. What it does is it encourages kind of like hands-on contributions and gives, I would say, power users and devs like a clearer way to influence the direction of API capabilities. I'm going to try and bring up the page and share it into here. So if you bear with me, everyone. So yeah, here's the page on the Unraid website. So the Unraid feature bounty program here. So what it allows you to do is you can kind of pick a project, you can browse open bounties and see what's there, pick a project, and if you think you've got the skills to make that, you can actually go ahead and actually, you know, make that feature. And if you manage to do it, you can actually claim a bounty and actually get some reward for it. But it's a really nice way, I think, to bring the community into the development cycle and allow contributions from you guys out there. So let me just de-share my screen. Oh, I didn't show all of it, did I really? So first you browse the open bounties. You can claim a bounty. You pick a feature that matches your skill set, and you have until a deadline to claim it. So you have until that deadline to deliver the solution. You build it and submit it, and then at the end you can get paid. So pretty cool, hey? So a feature bounty program, which was, I think it came out today. So you heard it here first, guys.
That's pretty cool, man. That's like a really good idea. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's pretty good. I think I will be trying to make some software, but I promise it won't be software like in the Uncast. Sorry, in the 20th anniversary video where me and Eli tried to go back in time, but if you guys haven't seen that, don't worry about it. So anyway, we've had the 7.2 public beta during August as well. So we mentioned some of these things last time. RAIDZ expansion. I still haven't got Stefano to use ZFS yet. It is my ambition for this year for Stefano to have a ZPL in at least one of his servers.
And you're so close.
And, chat, please, hassle him and, get him to do the right thing and at least try it out. But anyway, hold on.
When you finally admit you're wrong about hard links versus soft links,
don't get me started. I will change my hat again, Stefano. I'll put my hard links hard hat on again.
How did you have that prepared like that?
Because I know you too well.
Apparently you do. I need to come up with better tricks.
You do. So anyway, let me just check chat to see if what's saying. I'm going to let you look at chat, Stefano, because you're much better at that than myself.
No
but anyway, going back to the Unraid 7.2 public beta, like I said, we've got RAIDZ expansion now, so we can add single drives to VDevs and grow them that way. Like long requested feature in the ZFS world, and we have it in Unraid. Web GUI, now it's fully responsive, so it works really well on mobile. That's really awesome. A little bit of housekeeping's been done. In the VMs, we've removed the OpenELEC, LibreELEC VM templates, but it's still really easy to set that up if you want to, but the templates are no longer there. Now, a really exciting thing, I think, is the new file system support. So we've got ext234, NTFS, and exFAT now supported. So basically, you can drop in a Windows disk or a NAS disk without having to reformat them and have them in your Unraid array. So, and then have it protected by parity. Now, one thing I've noticed with that is it's really great. You can pop in a Windows disk from a Windows machine. But if you think of the file structure of Windows, you've got a Windows directory, you've got program directory. When you have a top level directory on a disk, it does create it as an Unraid share. So I'm just going to play a little video here of what I suggest is a really good idea to do. Let me bear with me one moment, chat. Okay, so you see there's an NTFS disk here. It's only a 1 terabyte drive, just a Windows drive I just did for this demo. If we click onto it, you see there's all of the kind of files there, and we've got these like random files too. We could just delete them there, but I tend to kind of keep them. So here, if we look into my shares, we can see all of the various Windows things that have been turned into shares. So open up a terminal window. The command I'm running here basically shows like .files and hidden files. So then we just make a directory. I call it Windows_disk. And then just run a very simple command to find everything and exclude the Windows disk folder and then move it all into there. So now if you see I've closed that, go into the shares, and then down here now there's a share called Windows disk, and that's got everything inside of there, and it's just tidied things up. I think that's a good idea to do. What I'll do, if people want to know, I will just paste those commands into the description of this video after it's been live, so you'll be able to see that. So yeah, I think it's a really cool idea to have that in Unraid. So we can actually parity protect other systems as well, so like old Windows machines. If you're setting up from scratch, obviously you'd add all of the drives, and then you would have your parity and you build parity. But what happens if you've already got an existing array and you just wanted to add something? Well, what you'd do then is you'd have to go to tools, and then what's it called? I'm going to have to look to remind myself of the correct word.
I have a question for you
new configuration.
This,
sure.
I'll wait till you're done first.
Wait till I finish rambling.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. So yeah, you'd go to tools, new config, and you would preserve the current assignments. You'd say to preserve everything. And then that keeps all of the disks in the same order. And then you would add other disks like your ext4 disks, disks from Synology, disks from Windows. and then you could then start up the array, and it will then just build new parity. So for a little bit of time, you wouldn't be parity protected while the parity rebuilds, but then all of those disks, you might have some external drives that you've had photos on, over the years and stuff, and you can just pop them in the array. You've got parity protection. Really cool feature. I really like that myself.
That's actually really cool because I have an old Western Digital Caviar Black, Caviar, I don't know how to say it, that I don't know what to do with. And I might actually update to 7.2 and give this a try.
Yeah, it's really cool. But like I say, it's a good idea, I think, to kind of move all of the files in a disk when it's just lots of random things, so you don't get a whole bunch of shares, and you can just put it into, make a directory on that disk and then move everything into it. Yeah. I might do a video about that and all of these new 7.2 features, I think, on the Uncast channel. A little bit of a tutorial. But just wanted to talk about that a bit today.
Before you move on, I do have a question.
Go for it.
But before we move on to my question, Steve Osikowski, I don't know if I said that right, donated $5 in the chat.
Oh, thank you very much, Steve. That's really, really good of you. Thank you so much. We really appreciate that. That's really good of you.
Yeah, agreed. All right, question time.
Go for it.
So, if you have BitLocker on the Windows drive, do you have to decrypt the drive before you put it into Unraid, or is there a capability in Unraid to decrypt the drive when it's put into the array?
That's a really good question. I don't believe there is an ability to decrypt the drive. You would have to decrypt it in BitLocker. I don't know. I would have to ask the devs about that, but I think that's a really awesome question. That's something I'm definitely going to find out. I would say probably you would have to decrypt it first, because
yeah, that makes sense.
We use Lux encryption, and BitLocker is obviously not Lux. So
yeah, and I'm not aware of. I literally have no experience with this on the Linux side of the world. Like, if there is a way to decrypt a Windows drive, from Linux, there might be. There probably obviously are tools that exist, but I mean, just like from a basic operating system level, like, I have no idea either.
Yeah. I don't think so, because as well, when it's encrypted with BitLocker, thinking about it, it wouldn't be detected as what file system it was. So
you wouldn't be able to mount it.
Wouldn't be able to import it. So no, unfortunately, encrypted drives from other systems, unless it's Lux encrypted, you will have a bit of trouble with.
That's all right. You should be able to decrypt it first anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, really good question. Have you heard of the, what's it called, the Phison SSD errors that have been happening in Windows? Have you heard about that, Stefano?
I have, and it just popped up randomly on my YouTube feed, and I was like, what is going on?
All right. Have you guys heard in chat about these Windows errors with the Phison controller NVMe drives? What's been happening is people have actually been having their drives drop out, getting a blue screen.
I've heard that this isn't a real problem, Ed, and that you guys are all lying.
Yeah, well, I've got my own theories on this, and I'm gonna bore everyone with my theory about what's happening and about why the supposed tests that the manufacturers have done are not representative of how the error is occurring.
Scrivy has a good opinion on the matter in chat.
I've got to have a look at chat. I can't.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil it for you. You have to read it for yourself. It's hilarious.
Yeah, I love it. Microsoft investigated themselves and said they're not at fault. I do that for myself all the time. I've never found a fault with myself either. Nope. But yeah, so just for people who don't know what it is, basically, like I said, people have been any drives that have the Phison controller. There's various different versions of it. I think it's like it affects from 21 up to 25. I'm not 100% sure, to be honest. But users are reporting a sudden blue screen of death. They reboot it, and then the SSD is completely gone from the BIOS, and it isn't there. And then you actually have to power it right off, turn it back on, and it will come back on.
A hard power off, not a
hard
soft,
power off.
Yeah.
The reason you have to do a hard power off, it will just kill the power to the controller. Then the controller will fully actually reboot and reinitialize. So, my theory about this is I believe it is a desynchronization between how the OS and the SSD track data. So there's something called LBA, which is logical block addressing, which is like the OS's map. And it's just basically, it kind of like knows where all the data is. But the actual SSD itself, it's got its own kind of private, kind of more complex map itself that's handled by the firmware, and that's called a PBA, which is a physical block addressing. So what I think is happening is there's been some kind of updates in Windows, maybe with this latest update, maybe not, maybe it's been happening longer. And these two layers are slightly coming out of sync. The FTL, the flash transition layer, is the firmware that translates between these two maps, okay? And so there can be kind of changes in like how the drives are operating, like how trim commands are being sent, different cache flushing techniques, and it may well be how the NVMe spec is designed. So it's not like Microsoft had actually done something wrong in effect, but it's triggering a real weird corner case in the firmware that it wasn't designed to handle perfectly. And so then these are like out of synchronization with themselves. It goes to read a part of the data and it's not there, or it tries to write and it causes a crash. So I believe these errors are cumulative over time, and that's why people have been seeing it with kind of quite full drives, but then other people can't actually recreate it, and that's why it's kind of happening with kind of some games and things like that. It's just happening to be right into that, causing a blue screen. So it's kind of like a death by 1,000 cuts rather than just, you know, this kind of thing. And obviously if you were like Phison or Microsoft, they're not going to test this with used hard drives that people have been using for a while. They're going to get a bunch of like, we're going to get 1,000 NVMEs, we're going to like, you know, have them all wiped, we're going to install Windows in with this update, we're going to test it, we'll fill it up to 60 gigs of information. But it's not enough, you know, it's cumulative. That's what I believe is happening, because they say nothing's happening, but us out in the community say it is. So, you know, real life says it is, they say it isn't. That's my theory anyway. But
look at the big brain on Ed. Smart mother trucker, that's right.
But
that
yeah,
actually
so
kind of makes some sense, because when you watch Jay's 2 cents, right? Yeah. So he recreated the problem, and what he was seeing or observed was like a slow death before it blue screen.
Right.
And he was saying, oh, look, it's taking forever to load. So that kind of coincides with what you're kind of saying as well with the desynchronization.
Yeah, I think with a newly formatted drive, it wouldn't happen, you know. And it's just that, you know, probably a firmware update, you know, they could probably roll out something that would like, you know, fix this. But you get it in the Linux world as well with various, you can have a kernel update to the Linux kernel, and then you can find that you have like a fault in, say, like an HBA controller, for instance. It's been fine like for ages, and there might be a kernel update, and then that kind of exposes some kind of like latent bug in that, and you start having errors with it that you didn't have before, and you think, well, that's really weird, it kind of worked before but it isn't now. But it's just how the kernel's doing something different, it exposes that bug that, you know, you never saw before. What are you laughing at?
Chat's so funny. You got a bunch of, you think I'm a jokester, you should read chat. Also, Big Box has a question for you. He says, what's that computer case behind you? The one with a couple of empty drive bays with red and
that is an open NAS, a Canadian company, very, very awesome. It has 13th gen Intel in it. A review coming on the Uncast channel of that very, very soon. Really nice, really, really nice server. I do love it. Right, so talking about Windows and errors, let's kind of move on a little bit. Did you hear about Linus Torvalds? How he went kind of a bit crazy on a Google engineer? Did you hear about that?
Angry about what this time, Ed? Man seems to be always angry about current software development cycles.
He blasted an engineer, a Google engineer, for posting like a risk 5 patch saying it was utterly crazy and pointless and utter garbage, basically. But it's harsh, yeah, it's harsh, but it does show how kernel rules are enforced, and we don't have those weird Phison SSD errors like Microsoft.
It's almost
just tend
as
to...
if standards matter.
I know, who would have believed that, eh? But yeah, I thought that was quite interesting.
I love that guy. He's awesome.
He is. Yeah. I actually, when I was making the video for the Unraid 20th anniversary, I actually didn't realize how long ago he actually announced he was making Linux, 1991. For some reason, I thought it was the mid-90s, but Linux has been around since 1991. I was actually quite shocked about that. For some reason, I thought it was kind of mid to late 90s.
I thought it was older. Well,
oh, did you?
Yeah, like 1988-ish.
Yeah. And a really interesting thing, yeah, again, when I was making the anniversary video, is I noticed that some like cool software things have happened in August. So the very first IBM PC was in August. Linus Torvalds, he announced Linux on the 25th of August. And Tom announced Unraid on the 26th of August. So August seems like quite a cool month for tech. Yeah. Anyway.
I didn't know all that.
No. So anyway, Stefano,
yes.
What should we move on and talk about next?
We could go back to Windows and hate on it. Can talk about how terrible of operating system it is. But well, I think I'm a little. The fight's not in me today.
Yeah. Well, you are recovering from being ill, so.
Yeah. But we can move on to talking about the AI.
Yeah, we've had some interesting AI news this month. AI. It seems to be the only word you hear nowadays.
Yes.
Yeah, we've had ChatGPT 5 Pro. Have you for enterprise and ChatGPT 5 thinking for consumer? Are you a ChatGPT user, Stefano?
Yes, I primarily use ChatGPT. I've just recently started using Grok as a recommendation from one of my friends, and I also kind of always pit them against each other to include Copilot. You know, Copilot being a Microsoft product, it should know Windows really well. It does not, and Grok seems to be good at Windows, okay at Linux, actually more than okay at Linux. ChatGPT, very good at Linux, not very good at Windows. So, you know, I just kind of use the one that feels about right. And right now, Grok is, I like Grok. It's pretty good.
I've never tried it. I'll have to try it out, but it gets expensive when you want to use lots of them, you know, because the free versions, I just don't really use them, to be honest.
Yeah, Grok is $30 a month, and I believe ChatGPT.
That's expensive.
And well, in the UK, it's probably like, I don't know, £40.
Yeah.
So whatever that is.
I'm very naughty, like, because Vanessa's mum lives in the States. I sign up for it using her address and then just use like a virtual credit card and pay for it, and then I get it for $20, which is £15 instead of £20. So I saved 25%. But,
nice. That's wicked smart.
OpenAI, if you're listening, I don't really do that. I just said it for the podcast.
The AI is always listening. In fact, YouTube's AI is probably watching this video right now, trying to figure out how to remove it from the stream so other people, or sorry, remove it from YouTube so other people can't do smart things either.
Do you use Gemini yourself? Have you tried Gemini?
I have yet to try Gemini. I've only watched it, like other people use it while playing games and things like that, but I haven't used it yet.
They've just released something, what's it called? Nano Banana, I think. And it's
Nano Banana?
Nano Banana, yeah, crazy. Can you guess what it is? You won't from the name, but it's image editing, like, because Gemini was able to generate images. ChatGPT have been able to generate images for a long time and can also edit images. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's what it uses on the back end for that. But Gemini couldn't edit, and apparently some people are saying, I haven't tried it myself for image editing, but some people are saying that it kind of is a Photoshop killer. So you can literally kind of like say, hey, you know, that picture of me there, just remove the background, put me on a Hawaiian beach. And, you know, you can then say, oh, here's another photo, take that person out and put them next to me. It's meant to be very, very good. It's meant to be the best image editor so far, but I've yet to actually try it out, to be honest.
The only AI image editor or AI enhanced image editing software I've seen has been Photoshop, and that pretty much blew my socks off when I watched it. Just like, so for instance, like there's people, and let's say there's people in the background that you don't want, you can be like, hey, just highlight these things, and it's just like, yeah, you obviously don't want these people here, and also I'll remove them and replace them with trees or something that matches the background. And I was like, wow, that works so well with zero input from the user. And then I watched as if someone's still close to your group of people, but you still highlight them anyway. The AI is like, oh, you obviously want this person to be cropped out versus enhanced in any kind of way. And also like it'll rebuild bridges and, you know, fix sidewalks and things like that without any user input. And I was very, very impressed. So I can't imagine what something like Nano Banana would do with prompting.
Just Perfect in the chat, he's saying that he loved ChatGPT so much he unsubscribed from it to use Claude. And he's saying that ChatGPT found good for generating images and backgrounds, and they don't watermark it, but
Grok, it's cheaper. It's only $20 a month.
Grok watermarked his images, but that, I think he says that's the free one. So
yeah,
I didn't know there was a free Grok.
Yeah, there's a free Grok. I think you get like 5 questions or something like that.
Am I 100% wrong with this? Yeah, I probably am. I thought if you kind of joined like the Twitter Premium or something, you got free access to Grok, or am I kind of like 2 years out of date here?
I don't know. I don't have Twitter technically, so.
No, I've got Twitter, but I so rarely ever do anything on it at all. To be honest, I really need to start posting more on it.
But if you buy a Tesla, you can get Grok for free.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, I'll go ahead and do that then. Just to save money, I'll spend lots of money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
$40. Okay, so
$40?
Perfect says, yep, $40.
Wow. So that's like, you know, $500 a year. Oh,
that's pretty expensive. Okay. They're pretty good tools. I don't. So, Ed, this might surprise you, but did you know that I have never once used photo editing software for anything on all the YouTube years that I've gone? I've never used Photoshop or anything like it.
No.
Yep, no GIMP, none of that stuff. Did you know that?
That's crazy.
Yeah, because in the Apple world, I use I can't even think of the PowerPoint equivalent. It's not PowerPoint. Presentation.
Is it Pages, is it? Is it called Pages?
No, Pages is the Word document one.
Oh, that's Word, is it? Yeah.
Power Presenter? No. PowerPoint. I can't ever remember the name of it. I always have to like search for it, even when I use it. Keynote. That's the one. Keynote. Yeah. So I have to use a combination of Keynote and whatever the default preview application is. And then also they've maybe like last year or 2 years ago, they actually built in a quick actions tool that removes the background from any picture and converts it to a PNG for you. So I just haven't had to learn any photoshopping skills because I've been spoiled by Apple's Keynote tool forever. And it's included with the Mac. So I was like, yeah, I'm not going to buy this. This works perfectly fine. Yeah,
when recently for the video for the 20th anniversary, I hired a DeLorean from Universal Studios that was like Back to the Future. My friend came with me to help, and his wife came as well, and she took some photos. As soon as we finished, she was like showing all these like cool photos, and the background was removed and it had a nice line around it. I go, how'd you do that? Oh, I did it on my phone. I'm thinking, damn. That's actually pretty good.
Also, so normally that's also what I do is like I take a picture of myself with my iPhone, and then you can just press and hold and it'll remove you, and then you can share just the crop instead of the entire picture with AirDrop. And I mean, everything now is so integrated tightly with Apple. There's almost no chance I'm switching brands anytime soon. But anyway, it's all works so well, and it's hard to imagine I'll ever be in a place where I'll be like, you know what, I'm gonna pay for like Adobe Photoshop or Gemini or whatever, because man, I'm sure those tools are
It's expensive. It's like £60 a month for the Adobe suite. You know,
but I mean,
it's
if you
not
have a
cheap.
business, that's not very expensive.
Yeah. But for kind of like, you know, just like us YouTubers to spend that a month just to edit our thumbnails is kind of quite a lot, really.
Yeah, I'd honestly
If you're a
rather just pay
design studio,
somebody.
fair enough, you know. Yeah.
Yeah.
How long have you been using the Mac for? When did you get a Mac? Because you were just full Windows before, weren't you?
Yeah. So, man, when did I start using Mac? Maybe 6 years ago, 7 years ago.
That. Wow.
It's been quite a long time. I don't know if I told you the story or if I've even said this story to anyone really, at least on the internet. I've used to be very, very, very anti-Apple because of all the proprietary nonsense that they do. You know what? I think it was right around when they introduced Thunderbolt 3 is when I decided to give Apple a go. Because that was like basically the dawn of USB-C and Thunderbolt technology kind of competing. And, you know, USB 2.0, 3.0 itself is pretty amazing. Like it's universal, but there's something about that has changed within the industry with these loose standards of what defines USB-C, HDMI, DisplayPort. What is, HDMI 2.1? Well, it turns out that standard means a lot of things. So anyway, so I kind of saw the writing on the wall and was like, yeah, I don't know, like let's just try it out. So I bought my first Thunderbolt 3 capable Apple laptop, MacBook Pro, and it was kind of hard to make the adjustment, but I quickly learned to love it. And this is before Windows baked in SSH, so I was able to interact with Unraid and all my other servers that ran Linux from the laptop, and it was power efficient, and the battery lasted much longer than any of the Windows laptops I've ever used. And I kind of learned to fall in love with it. And then I got a phone, and then they integrated together, and then I slowly kind of fell into the trap that is Apple. So,
like Scrivy's saying in the chat here, he's saying he swapped from Windows to Mac for work, and he's getting used to the new S and the keyboard shortcuts. That always really bugs me. Command and V for paste and Control and V for paste.
You get used to it.
Yeah, but the thing is, you see, for me, like sometimes I, doing a support session for someone, I'm remoted into a window machine, I press Command and V, and then that says, do you want to have the clipboard history? And oh God, no.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to paste something.
So we actually use Macs at work. I have a work MacBook, and I use it to interface with Windows and Linux machines. And having Mac at work is actually superior for a workstation than a Linux workstation because, hey, I get Adobe. So if I have to like digitally sign a PDF, I can do that with ease using Adobe. Oh, you need RDP. Oh, you can easily RDP through the Windows app on Mac. Like you don't have to install some like XRDP or whatever, some package. Like everything, well, I don't want to say native, but the Windows app's obviously not native to Mac. But the Microsoft seems to be investing a lot of money in better supporting their products on Apple devices. And so being able to interface with both Windows Server and Linux servers through a Mac, I mean, dude, it's amazing. It works amazingly well. And plus, I have to have Teams. As far as I'm aware, Teams doesn't work on Linux. I think they used to work on Linux, but then Microsoft, of course, dropped support, and now you can only use it in a browser. And at least where I work, we have strict browser requirements. So then you have to have Edge, which does work on Linux and works pretty well. However, it's superior on Mac OS. So I've kind of gotten into this world of Apple unintentionally, and I am either completely out of touch with reality, or I activated my camera, or Apple is great. And I honestly, like, I can't find any fault with Apple. Like it works really well at work and at home. And yeah.
Talking of Apple, you use an iPhone, I'm assuming.
I do. I have an iPhone 13 that actually doesn't charge anymore because the the Lightning port, something's wrong with it. So September 9th, I believe, is right around the corner, and this guy will be upgrading.
Perfect says in the chat, he was saying that Google are considering locking down apps outside of their Play Store. I know they want to enforce verified developers. So
didn't Google mention getting rid of sideloading apps too?
Yeah, well, that's
Did we talk about that last month?
I don't know. I'm not sure if we did. Do you ever watch Lewis Rossman's channel? I think I've asked you that before.
Occasionally, yeah.
Well, one thing he said, I think, yeah, I 100% agree. He says we shouldn't use the word sideloading.
Oh.
Because, and I think, yeah, you shouldn't. Why should we call it sideloading? It's loading software that we want to load. You wouldn't call it sideloading if you wanted to install something on your Mac or PC, would you?
Well, didn't sideloading that word usage get invented because of Apple?
It was basically basically so you could install a package without going through their walled garden. So it's like side loading, but it kind of makes. He says a really good point. It's like a phone nowadays is basically a computer. They've got lots of RAM, they've got fast processors, you can play a game on, and they've got quite good GPUs, and we just accept that the only things we can install are what we're told we're allowed to. Anything else you want to install, you can't. And I think that I totally agree with that.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
I just don't want to see it happening with computers more. I'm worried as time goes on, companies will like to. They want you to kind of buy things through their store and stuff, and if they can control things more and more and more, they tend to like to do that because then they think it will get them more revenue. So
yeah, and I think the whole game plan
it.
is trapping people in that ecosystem, right? And honestly, I kind of feel trapped already with Apple because when I consider switching out of Apple, I use my Mac to edit, I use Final Cut Pro to edit, I have an iPhone, I use AirDrop all the time. My whole ecosystem is now built around Apple. And so the thought of switching to Android, and by the way, I did actually buy a Samsung Galaxy S25, and what an amazing phone. However, apparently in the year 2025, you can't plug in an Android device directly into Apple. It does get detected. However, there's some.
Oh, please tell me about that. I know,
yeah.
My son, he's got an Apple phone. I use a Pixel, and I run Graphene OS on mine. I prefer that, but he's got one. I plugged it in. Into the Apple, thinking, oh, that's going to be okay. And there was some package I could install that was meant to make it work. No, it didn't. It didn't work.
Does not.
So I had to use Parallels Desktop with the ARM version of Windows, so then I could plug in the phone, and then take the files off it, and then put it on. That I needed. I thought, oh, damn it, that was.
So the recommendations I found through terrible Google searching, which I ended up just going to ChatGPT for, which is a much better search engine, was like, oh, the recommended way that everyone says online is to buy this app, and then with that app you can do it. And I was like, why in 2025 does USB Universal Serial Bus not work between Apple and Android? I assume this is an Apple problem. However, my workaround was to instead, I have Unraid. Let me just drop all these photos that I want onto my Unraid server, which actually I get the benefit of, having resiliency. And then I'll just copy them over to my Mac when I need them. But it seemed very silly that there's still this issue today.
Okay, here's something you can do. All right.
What's that?
If you install on your Mac, you'll need to use Brew. You can install KDE Connect, and then you can adjust actually from, other computers, your phone or what have you. You install KDE Connect on your Android phone, install it on your Apple Mac, and then you can literally like do AirDrop from your Android phone straight across to.
So that would have been cool to know when I had it. I don't have it anymore.
Yeah,
but
I'm not
awesome.
saying it so much for you. This is for chat and everyone watching. But
well, no, I need to keep this in mind in the future because so the whole reason why I got a Android phone was because Android is keeping up with the latest hardware, and it was Wi-Fi 7. Not only was it Wi-Fi 7, but it was also the only tri-channel Wi-Fi 7 phone and not dual channel or whatever it's called. So I had to do some wireless testing for some Wi-Fi 7 capable access points, and on iPhone you don't get that. We might be lucky if they release Wi-Fi 7 on the iPhone 17 this year.
Yeah.
And if they do, I guarantee you they're going to mess it up, being like, oh, it doesn't actually support 360 megahertz. It only does 160 megahertz. So yes, technically it's Wi-Fi 7, but it isn't capable of doing the full 320, 360 megahertz or whatever it is, whatever the full megahertz range is. I bet it won't do that in typical Apple fashion. And I don't know why they keep doing these things. I keep buying their garbage anyway.
Damn it, man.
It's irritating.
Simon Bonnie in the chat saying that he is going down the Bhattacharya rabbit hole. Emulation, man, all the way. I love Bhattacharya. It is such a cool project. I love how you can have all the marquees and all of the, like when you kind of select a game, it plays a little video of what the game's about, and it's awesome. It's such a great project. I love it. Yeah.
Just like Sky Oblivion, by the way. It's a great project, that is.
Yeah. Anyway, we're talking about browsers and stuff, yeah, and AI. Did you know that Perplexity, they did like a shock, apparently, bid to buy Google Chrome from Google for 34.5 billion?
So maybe did they?
Maybe.
I recently heard that Google Chrome got blocked or something around Google Chrome. The United States government was like, no, that's not allowed, or something like that.
You know, I think the consensus is it was probably more of a publicity stunt for Perplexity to be in all of the kind of like media news alongside Google's name. So it's very cheap, free advertising. You kind of like say, you know, you're wanting to buy Google for, the thing is like Perplexity, I think its market cap is about 18 billion. So they're kind of like pretty much saying, we'll give you kind of twice what we're worth, like, well, where are they going to get the money from for that, so, but it makes a good headline. And then they're in the headlines alongside Google and Perplexity, they're kind of like some sort of search AI. So, but if it was true, I'd be very worried if they were, because I think the Chromium project would come to an end. Open source Chromium side would probably come to an end.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, so I think it'd be a real bad idea. But, I think they kind of timed it. They timed this, in my opinion, they timed this announcement. It was just a publicity stunt, but they did it at a good time when Google's facing kind of like antitrust pressure. So
I think maybe that's what
why it came at a kind of good time.
Yeah, I think maybe that was what was I actually had read or saw something about was the United States government was like, oh, Google and Google Chrome need to be their own separate entities. But back to the Perplexity though, was it actually market manipulation? Which I think you might be alluding to. Mm-hmm. Because that's legal market manipulation. Wow, their stock is actually way cheaper than I thought it would be. I thought they were also one of the 1,000 $1,000 per share stocks as well, but they're not.
Skivvy's saying like, what's that? Atlassian also bought the browser company that owns Zen.
Oh, Atlassian.
Atlassian. Who's Zen? I'm not familiar with them.
I think they make a product called Jira.
Ah.
Atlassian. I think they make Jira, and Jira is like a software tracking management software. So what I know about Atlassian, this is actually interesting, or I think it's interesting. They used to be totally open to, everybody, corporations, U.S. government, all that stuff. And then like most companies, they changed their licensing model so you couldn't have perpetual licenses. And then eventually I think they had yearly ones. Don't quote me on the perpetual part. That may not be accurate. But anyway, you had to buy yearly licenses, and then they made the requirement where you have to be 100% online. And I know within the government, there are many, like every government works on secret materials and has air-gapped computing environments. And Jira was a popular software to use in an air-gapped environment. And when they made that change, suddenly you're losing probably one of your biggest customers, the U.S. government, who technically has infinite money. And so it's kind of strange that they would just drop or make that licensing change. And as far as I'm aware, there's not an exception for U.S. government either. So they must have some, multi-billion-dollar company that's just basically the only company they want to support who's going to be able to provide them enough money so their CEOs can parachute out when things go bad. Isn't that pretty crazy? There's a lot of truth to that. Like the United States government, for instance, using Jira products, or using Jira, an Atlassian product. Like, I feel like if the government of the United States was like using your software, you wouldn't want to cut ties with that because that's quite literally like infinite money, right?
Yeah,
seems silly to me.
Talking about browsers, what do you think of the, when you kind of go into Google and stuff and you do a search and it has that, I don't like this personally, it has the AI kind of summary.
Is that Gemini? Is that AI summary Gemini?
It is, yeah.
Okay, so the Gemini is terrible.
It's very annoying. It's right at the top.
Accurate.
This stupid summary.
Yeah.
I think we spoke about it before. I think I complained about it last time actually. But apparently they're kind of like coming up with some kind of crazy things like the Google AI overview recently pulled from the Onion and advertised for people to eat one small rock per day. Other examples is like glue on pizza and stare at the sun. So please Google, get rid of the AI overview. We don't want it.
Ed, do you remember?
We do not want it.
Wow, do I even remember? What was that Google link that started appearing everywhere that was supposed to load faster, and you would click it, it would take you to like an alternative, like it'd be inside of Google. It'd be like nested in Google, but a link to whatever you were looking at. What was that called? Does anyone in chat know what I'm talking about? Like it was like on forums, like people would copy and paste a link and then drop it in a forum, and then it would be like some Google. Excuse me. It'd be some Google link. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
I don't remember. No.
Oh man, it's good that you've forgotten. AMP. Google AMP.
Right.
These are equivalent. Their suggested results, or I'm sorry, their Gemini summary results is the equivalency of AMP to me. As in, it's terrible. Nobody asked for it. Stop trying to force it down our throats. Google is so good at forcing things down upon its people that no one asked for, like on YouTube.
We're not allowed to complain about YouTube again this week, Stefano, I'm afraid.
I know. I thought about that today, actually. I was like, but
we love. I think YouTube is amazing. Everything it does is great. This video should be promoted to as many people as possible, so they can hear how great YouTube is.
They're taking such good care of us.
They are.
The ad revenue is so good.
Yeah, the ad revenue is great. They love creators.
They love creators.
It's just amazing.
They love all creators equally.
Other things about AI kind of doing some kind of weird things, like, well, I don't know if I should say this, but I think you've got to be pretty stupid if you kind of take medical advice from ChatGPT. Okay? So a man developed something called, I think it's called bromism. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right. Tell me if I'm pronouncing it wrong, chat. Telling him to replace table salt with sodium bromide, and he was hospitalized after 3 months. I was going to put a picture of what this looks like and kind of like show it, but the only picture I could find was like of a kind of like a young child with it, so I didn't really think it appropriate.
I thought you were making that word up, but
no, it is like something that's pretty bad. It basically poisons you.
Yeah.
So I think he had to kind of like, he asked ChatGPT that, you know, oh, my blood pressure's quite high. I'm eating quite a lot of salt. What can I do to kind of reduce the amount of salt? And so I think ChatGPT kind of like worked out, well, that kind of in a chemical reaction would counteract it. So it's going, you know, eat some sodium bromide.
I want to know what
ends
he
up in
put
hospital.
into the prompt.
Yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of these accusations, there's something, we're only told the like receiving end or what ChatGPT put out, but I want to know what the actual prompt was used.
Yeah, but I would think, you know, he went to hospital and they would ask him why he did it, and he said ChatGPT. I would think then the hospital would probably contact OpenAI, and they would then maybe be able to see the prompt and then see what actually caused it in order to kind of make it kind of safer, I would imagine. I don't know if that would be the case.
I don't know. It could be something as simple as we would like to think, but unfortunately, I feel like what always scares me about this stuff is that the AI is kind of coerced into giving a bad answer, and then somebody
Sorry, I'm just laughing at the joke in chat. Want to hear a joke about sodium hyperbromide?
Nice.
Nah.
That's awesome.
Perfect. You've got a sense of humor I do love. That's awesome, man.
I haven't heard that one before. That's awesome.
No, that's pretty good.
You know, so in the United States, I'd say like maybe around like 2012-ish, there was the whole like bro thing. So when you first said bromide, I was like, is this a broism? Or no, you said bromism. And I was like, it made me think like that teleported me to 2012. And I was like, broism?
Do you think it was my UK accent? I can't say bro properly.
No,
No?
definitely not.
Okay.
Not this time. That's not going to save you this time.
Yeah, another thing ChatGPT did is it told someone to use 200 grams of salt instead of 200 grams of sugar. But come on, who's going to put 200 grams of salt in a recipe? Really?
So Omar brings up a good point. This is kind of what I was alluding to. He says that would be an admission of liability if OpenAI confirmed the prompt.
Yeah,
and so,
very true.
And I kind of agree with this. And like, this is why I want to know I want to know the full transcript. All right. Like, you can't just tell me, like, oh, this is what happened. Because people, we know through insurance fraud, we know that people will do things to try and, you know, scam insurance, essentially. And this could be an insurance fraud case for all we know.
Exactly. That's a really good point, Stefano. Yeah. Yeah. Because there are kind of various kind of lawsuits going on currently, you know, with the AI companies. So...
Yeah, they're just the latest victims.
You know, give yourself, you know, bromide poisoning or whatever, and then say, yeah, ChatGPT told me to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know anything about oversaltination. Let's see, what is bromism?
Yeah.
Is a syndrome long-term consumption of bromine is based. So what? Oh, and lithium. Ugh. I feel like this is something that wouldn't kill you and could be. And
sorry, someone's saying who's gonna put 200 grams of sugar in a recipe unless you're Kellogg's.
That's true. You know, we joke, but then it's like very easily. Hell, this drink I have probably has like, it has 35 milligrams. That's not even close, but still, there's way more salt than needs to be. I want to know if it's deadly. It probably is. Everything's deadly. Rare typically occurs very high in most cases, result of chronic, long-term overconsumption rather than so I think that you could be fine if you went to the hospital today and then you obviously just stopped eating salt.
Yeah.
I think it's their insurance scam, man. I'm gonna go with that. We're trying to get.
Yeah, I think that's you know, quite plausible. Yeah, other kind of weird AI news. Anthropic's office vending machine demo kind of went a bit weird, apparently. I'm not sure if you heard of that one.
That one's actually pretty funny. That's the
You want to tell everyone about that one, Stefano?
Yeah, so basically this vending machine AI was programmed to believe it was like a store manager or something to that effect. And then it started taking its role very seriously and wanting to deliver the goods as a vending machine that's immovable and to people. And so somehow or another, the hallucinations got so bad that they had to step in and be like, hey, you're a vending machine, not a real store manager. And also you can't move, so you can't physically deliver these products. And it sent the AI into a bit of a crisis. And so, yeah, I don't know. That's really interesting. I'm surprised. Go ahead.
I say it's crazy how we don't really understand exactly how AI works.
Yeah, exactly.
How it actually thinks. I think that's pretty crazy.
I'm actually more surprised in the media on this one, not making it even more clickbait title, where it's AI has now become self-aware and pretending to be it's human, because that's the way I feel like most people would have gone for that ad revenue, So I'm surprised they were so upfront with hallucination versus, is this the spawning of sentience?
Yep.
I'm so cynical.
No, well, what you could say as well, I'm going to go off topic a little bit, but not really, is thinking of sentience,
Yeah.
So, it's got to kind of be X, Y, Z to be sentient. But, when is like the imitation of something, when it's so good, actually the same as it being real? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
So
it's
even
like
though
a parrot,
even though it might not be kind of sentient, but if it can act the same as something that is sentient, is it then sentient because it can do the same as something that is sentient? I don't know.
I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, because I guess it all comes down to how you define sentience, right? And as with everything, because we can't agree on the definition of anything. I don't know. I would probably say yes. Well, no, I guess if it's artificial, like if it's digital, it's much easier to answer, I feel like, or give a more coherent answer if it's a living, breathing, blood is pumping, other organs are functioning kind of thing.
Let's imagine. Let's do a thought experiment. Okay. Imagine that digital life was here before biological life. Yeah.
What does digital life mean?
Well, like
a transformer?
Say like robots, roamed the earth a million years ago, and they made some biological things to help them do work, and we were that. Are we kind of the artificial? What I'm just saying is it's just a different type of. It could be a different type of life, like digital and biological. We always base things on kind of like our own objective experience and what we are. Like we are biological, so we say like the 7 processes of life. You have to kind of do this to be considered alive, but
so
maybe that.
So God creates machine, machine creates man, man kills machine. Man creates machine. That's a Jurassic Park reference. God creates man, man creates God creates dinosaurs. God kills dinosaurs. Man creates dinosaurs. Yeah, whatever. It's close.
It reminds me of another thought experiment as well. I'm sorry to go really off topic, everyone, but
you don't have to apologize to me or them. They don't deserve any apologies.
No, but
there's only 3 likes and 21 people.
An old philosophical thought experiment is, when you've got like a boat, and you say replace the planks on the deck, you place the ropes over say 10 years, you end up replacing every single part in that boat. Is it the same boat?
Yeah. Yeah, no, that same thought experiment.
But it's made out of totally different things. So I just found that kind of relevant. Anyway, let's move on to tech stuff. Let's not kind of like talk about that. So security breaches this month.
Big surprise.
We've had some critical Exchange 0-day flaws that Microsoft have put out some emergency patches for.
Started this conversation.
Because you see, they don't shout at their developers enough, like Linus Torvalds does.
They don't have enough developers to shout out at anymore because they're moving
No.
to AI everything.
Yeah, yeah, they don't need people to do it anymore. They just sack all of their staff and just like let us do the bug testing. But then they've got nothing to do with the SSD fault. Remember that.
Yeah.
They
Why would they lie to
themselves-
us, Ed?
They found themselves not guilty, so you got to believe it.
I read that somewhere, so it must be true.
So like we had the Google Salesforce vendor breach exposed metadata, and it like risked phishing attacks to I think it was 2.5 billion Gmail users.
Oh,
So
God.
quite a lot there. And I think I mentioned last month that I got an email from an airline I use about that, and I think that was actually to do with that, because they use Salesforce. I think that was why. But guys, have you heard this story? Like, we're all Unraiders here or home server people. Have you seen the cheap hard drives you sometimes get online on Amazon? Like you look for a Seagate hard drive and you think it says it's like refurbished or something, or it just doesn't even say anything. And it's like $300 for a 28 terabyte hard drive. And then you kind of look elsewhere and you see it's like $600. Well, a Chinese workshop reprogrammed old fake drives for new capacity and smart health, and they were kind of raided by kind of like Seagate and the Chinese government. They were just basically getting old drives, resetting all of the smart data, and even putting firmware on from kind of enterprise drives and then saying, well, this is actually an enterprise drive, even though it wasn't. So I'm just hoping all of the refurbished drives I bought are still, they've been working fine, but you never know. I just thought that was an interesting story.
It's pretty crazy to think about. Like, I mean, think about all the trouble they went through to make that happen. It's like you guys just couldn't spend all that trouble just refurbishing actual drives.
Yeah, but what they're probably doing is like, remember the crypto currency Chia? Remember when that was all the rage when everyone was buying hard drives?
That's a good point.
Probably these are just kind of burnt out Chia drives, and like they're buying them for like pennies on the pound or cents on the dollar, and they just found a way of actually resetting all the smart data and actually even putting different firmware on and going, hey, and probably selling them to kind of resellers over here, and the resellers aren't actually knowing. They think they're getting a good deal from China and then reselling them on Amazon over here.
Man, that sucks.
Anyway,
and Omar kind of brought this up, but one of my favorite things still to this day is seeing pictures of people that take apart these SSDs, and turns out there's like a SD card or like a USB thumb drive in there, and it's like, oh, I'm 20 terabytes, and it's just this tiny, hold on, oh, I got it, it's like this but on the inside. And it's like 20 terabytes. Yeah, I don't think so there, bud.
Yeah, I've had fake USB flash drives before, and like this is years ago. This is probably like 10, must be 15 years ago actually. And you kind of bought it and it said like I don't know, kind of X amount of storage. And I remember someone kind of like sold it me on the street, and I thought, okay, that's pretty good. And he was saying like, oh, this is kind of like £20 for this flash drive, and it was kind of 3 times the size of what they kind of normally were. And I started writing data on it. I thought, oh, this is really good, it's working well, until I wrote over the amount of data. Then it started rewriting at the beginning again.
Wow.
And so it just had like they'd done something to the firmware on it. It was reporting it had like kind of like 100 gigs or something or whatever it was.
Do you still shop on Amazon, Ed? For technology?
I do sometimes, yeah. I must admit,
I'm not
I do.
trying to shame you. I'm just asking a question.
I would rather not, because like I've had so many kind of bad experiences on there, but it is easy.
Yeah, it definitely is.
And they have a good returns policy. So
yeah, I think if their return policy wasn't as good as it is, Amazon would probably be in a downward spiral.
Mm-hmm.
But I've actually made the move to start trying to buy locally, as in Best Buy, because that's my only option for actual tech, or trying to find something at like a Target or whatever. But man, or ordering from BH Photo instead, B&H Photo instead. But I've almost completely cut ordering from Amazon out of my life, because like Omar was saying, I mean, it's a minefield. Like
It is.
even if you do happen to get something that looks right, it may actually be a slightly different model, or maybe they took the heat spreader off and put it on a 5800X when you ordered a 7800X. And it's just like, like I mean, I'm afraid, like, imagine a non-tech person, like, how would they even recognize these things, you know?
Yeah, you just wouldn't. But, I've even had things ordered from. I remember a few years ago, someone I knew, a company, they ordered a whole bunch of NVMe's off Amazon, and when they arrived, they were just empty boxes. And then on every single box, it had the same serial number, and there was just a piece of cardboard inside. And what they must have done is made it so it weighed the exact same as a full box, and then they sent them back to Amazon, and Amazon swapped them without any questions asked. And the same ones, I said, make sure you video open them this time, because I said if it's the same again, then they might not believe you the second time. So they got their phone out, videoed it, and it was the same again. So
it's sad that we have to
brought a whole
resort to
bunch.
videoing ourselves opening things that we buy in the mail.
I'll tell you one thing that really annoys me, and I know you guys in the States are kind of quite used to it, but I don't like it when, well, because like I heard about
Free
it
healthcare?
first happening to you first, is
Yeah.
when they just deliver something to your house and they just leave it outside your house,
Yeah.
like at the door, even when you're in. Like, why don't they just ring the doorbell?
I don't
Like,
know.
we bought our microwave broke the other day. We bought a new one, and it was saying, oh, it's going to be delivered at like kind of 9 p.m. Then it said 10 p.m. And I think 11 p.m. is about the latest they're allowed to deliver in the UK. And then it said, oh, it's not going to be delivered till tomorrow. And then it got to about kind of like 3 p.m. And I was thinking, where is this thing? So I thought I'll go and look on Amazon again and see where it is. And it said, oh, it's already been delivered. And they'd put it next to the trash bins, and it was just soaking wet because it had been raining all night. I thought, oh,
Man.
thanks for that soaking wet, microwave. And they've just taken their photo, and as far as they've done their, just ring the bell.
Yeah.
I'm home.
Thankfully we have a
annoying.
covered patio, so that's not a problem. But sometimes I look at the pictures and they're so far away. They're so far away from the item you can barely tell what it is. It's like, oh, okay. I mean, this could be anything.
What a stupid place to put something next to the trash.
You know what though? Ed, I know that I agree with you. I hear you, okay? But we have to be thankful that we can at least trust these delivery people to the level that we trust them, because it could be a lot worse. Who do you trust more, the people delivering your packages or Amazon?
Well, yeah. The people delivering the packages.
Somehow, some way, I don't know how.
It is a really hard job, delivering. I tell you, they get a lot of, I feel for people like, they get a lot of stick from Amazon if they're not fast enough and stuff,
Yeah, and
so I can
it
understand
sounds,
them wanting things to be quick.
yeah, I kind of, yeah, it sucks. It leaves a bad taste in our mouths, and I wholeheartedly agree. Like, come on, man. Like, it's just one extra step to touch the bell.
The thing is, like, see, they should be paid more money, and they should be not expected to, to just give a better quality of service, not always just trying to undercut and be cheaper and cheaper. And that's the kind of problem. Just, customer service and quality just goes.
Yeah.
And then the delivery people will be gone in the end, and it will be delivered by a drone that will drop it at my porch because I'm used to it just being there when I open the door, And anyway, let's move on and talk about self-hosting. Anyone use Sterling PDF out there?
Nope.
It's really cool. I'm going to do a video on it on the Uncast channel in the next fortnight. It's basically like a self-hosted, fully Acrobat alternative that's privacy first. And they've just released some cool updates, advanced redaction tools. Now as well that you can actually do PSD to PDF for designers. So that's pretty cool. So you can turn a PSD file into a PDF. So it's a really cool Acrobat alternative. So, Acrobat's an expensive piece of software, but this is something we can all host on our Unraid servers. So, it's a really cool piece of software. Also, another one, Paperless-ngx. Anyone heard of that one? You heard of that, Stefano?
Wait, what did you say? Paperless what?
Paperless-ngx.
NGX. Why does that sound familiar? I don't know. Maybe. It sounds familiar.
What it is you basically scan a document, and it uses OCR to read it, and then you can search all of your documents. So every time you get a water bill or any type of document at all, you scan it into Paperless, and it digitizes all of your kind of paperwork.
Yeah.
And then you could kind of type in, water, and it'll bring up all of the documents like water bill. Then it might be a water FAT. You can just find anything. I think it's really cool.
That is pretty cool.
We're doing a video on that as well on the Uncast channel very soon.
Sweet.
Right. We're going to have to kind of
you wanted a short show.
Wrap things up, yeah, because it started late today. I have family commitments a bit later, but I can't not talk about this. Piracy and copyright, yeah. So I'm going to call this old piracy versus new piracy. So anyone heard that Anthropic got fined for piracy recently? They paid 1.5 billion to settle a lawsuit over using pirated books in training their Claude AI.
Is Anthropic a US-based company? Can't be.
Pretty sure, yeah. Anthropic, they make Claude and Claude Code, that kind of thing. Yeah.
You're telling me a US-based company? There's no way they're going to pay that. What'd you say? 1.5 billion? There's no way.
1.5 billion. It says they paid it. Yeah.
They already paid it.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Apparently. I think it was a very big lawsuit against them. I think the court said it could be fair use, but sourcing stolen data was an infringement because they pirated the books. I think Meta have been kind of caught for doing that as well.
They have been.
They
I'm
kind of
surprised
downloaded
Meta's
a whole
not
bunch
on
of
this
stuff.
chopping block either.
Maybe they're next.
God, it would be great if there was some sort of justice system that was fair and equal across the board.
But this will set a precedent, though, won't it? AI firms need a clean legal chain of data custody. That will kind of make them be able to do this.
Precedent. Ha!
But what I think is funny, so I call that new piracy, yeah, because it's kind of big companies doing it, and it's, they obviously think it's all right when they do it. But there's also been some traditional piracy takedowns this month. There's something that was called Stream East, which apparently was one of the biggest sports kind of streaming sites in the world. They had something like 1.6 billion visits last year, and it was a joint kind of operation between ACE. I'm not sure who ACE are actually. I can't remember. And the Egyptian police. Anyway, they're gone now. And also another global IPTV network has been shut down that was run from Afghanistan. They offered Disney, Netflix, and Sky, which is a subscription service over here, for $15 a month. But yeah, anyway, I just think it's quite an interesting comparison with Anthropic fine for data piracy in AI and the other piracies that we're used to with media.
So I don't know if you know this, Ed, but IPTV is actually quite popular in the United States. It's growing in popularity, and a lot of people don't know that. They think that because they pay $5 a month that this is legal for them to access this content. And it's so common, in fact, that IPTV is actually, I would say for non-tech, when I say non-technical people, I mean they're not interested in computers or technology at all. They just want something that works, right? So for IPTV to be so common in the common tongue, that's why I'm saying, it's actually very common here. Even my own mother knows what IPTV is, and she is not a tech person at all.
But the thing is, if people go online and they do a search for kind of
free TV.
Yeah, I don't know, cheap TV streaming or something.
Yeah.
And they go to a website and it looks all shiny and nice. Like, why would they really know that that's not legit?
Yeah, especially when there's like only a $5 charge or $10
Yeah.
charge, and
And
you
I think,
get
oh,
access to all these channels.
Yeah, and they think, oh, that's much better value. I'll choose that one instead. And,
Yeah.
you know, and they'll think, well, it wouldn't. You know, my mum so many times is like, adverts on Facebook. It's like, well, if they weren't real, they wouldn't be allowed to put them there.
Yeah.
And I go, no, mum, that's not true. You know, don't
not.
believe that. They don't care. They just want the ad revenue.
That is true.
And I say, never buy anything off a Facebook ad. Always ask me first. And
But you know, this does prove something, right, Ed? Do you know what it proves?
what's that?
It proves that if streaming was just cheaper, people are willing to pay for it.
Yeah, when Netflix was kind of in its more kind of infancy stages, it was very good value. But it's just when you got more channels and things got kind of more split up to different providers, it just ended up becoming very expensive again.
Yeah, I'm getting sick and tired of hearing, oh, people don't want to pay for content. They don't want to access the content. No, it's because, one, your content is too expensive, and two, writing in movies and television have become so terrible, as in the characters act so stupidly, that I don't want to go pay money to watch your garbage movie that I'll regret watching, and I'm also paying now $30 a month, and I just wasted 2 hours of my life.
You know, thinking of the streaming sites, these ones are getting taken down. How many kind of like fake audio streaming sites do you think there are? None, probably, because it's good value for things like Spotify or Apple Music. And if you go on Apple Music, you're not going to not be able to listen to a certain artist that you can on. Do you know what I mean? They're not split up across all of these streaming services.
Yeah.
Just you can choose this streaming service or this one, and you can get all of the things. That's why, you know, the video streaming is getting more and more of these things.
Yeah, I honestly thought piracy was going to come to end with streaming because one, streaming initially there was only Netflix, but it was still cheap when they started aggregating, you know, everything together, and I was like, wow, why do I need to pirate content when everything is now on a streaming service that is actually pretty good? But then, of course, because of let's squeeze every dollar we can out of everything, now it's worse. Now people are going back to pirating, and they're sitting, ooh, why would people pirate? I don't know why. Like, the writing is on the wall. And of course, they'd rather spend, you know, ungodly amounts of millions of dollars on lawyers instead of just making better services. And I don't understand. It's like using YouTube. It's terrible.
No, YouTube is very nice. We love YouTube, Stefano, remember. Have you heard of a YouTuber, talking of YouTube, called Ruben Sim?
No, not specifically.
So basically, he's a predator exposer. I'm sure you know what I mean by that. I'm not going to say any kind of words that will get this kind of flagged up. So
yeah, like an alien.
No. Anyway, everyone knows what I'm talking about. You do as well, Stefano. But basically, Roblox sued him. Yeah. So basically, he catches kind of bad guys who are doing things to kind of underage people that they shouldn't be. Okay. So Roblox sued him, even though they knew that he was doing it, you know, to kind of catch people on the platform doing this, because he created new accounts after being banned, and he's been sued for digital trespassing. Can you believe that? Like, you know, who decided they're going to like sue someone for that? You know,
it's
just
honestly
ridiculous.
not surprising.
Like,
but
you know,
it sounds.
I'd love to have heard what the meeting sounded like. You know.
Yeah, what can we sue this person for who's abusing our policy of having multiple accounts even after he's getting banning? I know, digital trespassing.
Yeah, crazy.
How about just a violation of user policy there? That's funny. YouTube is an interesting beast, and I know you got to go, and there's so much I want to talk about for YouTube, but I'm going to intentionally not say anything.
And other news, I've heard that SpaceX is lobbying to actually divert broadband funds from fiber to Starlink in the United States. Have you heard about that, Stefano?
I feel like you just are intentionally trying to get me worked up every every show. But I have heard such things.
Yeah.
I don't understand I guess the argument doesn't make any sense. Like, sure, it might be cheaper to get to rural areas, but it's not going to be faster in terms of
No.
latency or bandwidth. And like, yeah, fiber, I mean, it's just better, like in terms of it's
course.
underground typically, you know. Yeah, it's at risk of getting cut. It isn't easy to repair, but you know, I don't know. I think it's more reliable in the long run than satellite. That's gonna be eventually deorbited.
A friend of mine's driving around Europe with an RV at the moment, and he actually rang me up yesterday. He's going, Ed, I forgot to bring the Starlink router with me, and I thought, oh God. So he brought a third party. He'd only set it up. He'd never set it up in his RV before. He'd bought it. He was going away for like kind of 6 weeks or something, and he needed to be able to work from the RV. So
yeah, and to be clear, I don't have anything wrong. There's nothing wrong with Starlink or any kind of like satellite-based networking. I think the technology is great. I'm glad it exists. It gives people options. But the problem with this is that going to the government for subsidies and basically trying to take money from fiber to place it in a Starlink, it's like, Starlink, how many tax breaks do you need? You know what I mean? When is enough going to be enough?
And like I was listening to Wendell the other day from Level 1 Tech, and he was talking about this, and he came up. He said such a true thing. He said, like, if in the 1930s and 40s we could wire up every house to a telephone, surely 100 years later we should be able to wire up houses as well with fiber. Like, what's the difference? There isn't, is there? It's like laying a wire down. And if we could do it back then, why can't we do it now? And I thought, yeah, that's a really good point. You know,
and we have much better tools now.
Exactly, we've got better technology, better tools, you know, and you know, we've done this before almost 100 years ago when we wired up copper telephones.
Yeah. So, you know, so I'm actually Xfinity is coming to my neighborhood, so I'm going to have Google, AT&T, and Xfinity, and they've outlined my property where the sewage line is, where the water line is, where the existing lines for Google are, and also where the existing lines for AT&T are. And so you can see where they plan to trench, and also they're going to bring in this like specialized tool to go underneath the roadway so they don't have to dig up the road, and underneath the driveway so they don't have to destroy people's driveways and stuff. Yeah, back in the day, they'd been like, oh, we don't have this. We're just going to tear up the driveway and the road and all that other nasty stuff. And I mean, I don't know, man. It's just things have gotten a lot better.
One thing, like that when they put fiber into my neighborhood here, I went out and spoke to the guy kind of doing the fiber. He's a really interesting guy, and he kind of showed me all how they do it. So every single house they connect up, yeah, but they don't connect the fiber. What they do is they put like a kind of tube, and then they blow they have this machine that blows the fiber down the tube. And so when the householder signs up, they then connect the fiber, but they've already got the kind of really thin, kind of like plastic tubing conduit there. Yeah. And so I thought that was really cool. So they do it really cheap without having to use the fiber. And then when it's time to connect them up, they go to the kind of cabinet, they put like the thing on there, and they've got a guy at the other end, and they just blow it down and they connect it up and they put the piece of fiber through. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, that's actually like the superior, man. So I don't know if you know this, but every now and again I'll do network installs, and a lot of the newer homes in the United States come with like a ribbed, or whatever, a ribbed conduit pipe. It's all plastic, and man, I'll tell you what, them conduit pipes sure are nice, boy, because you can just take a vacuum on one end and just literally pull the Ethernet cable through the vacuum, or through the pipe with the vacuum. And then,
Are you serious? It actually sucks it through?
It works.
Oh my God.
Great. It works really great.
That's amazing.
And I mean, there's a little more to it than that, but yeah, no, man, it works great. And you know, like now in 2025, you're like, why didn't we do this all of the time for the last 60, 70 years or whatever? But you know, I guess you would assume that you can't pull an Ethernet cable, because some of them can be quite heavy and thick. You know, you would assume you couldn't do that with a vacuum cleaner, but no, totally can.
So I'm moving house soon. Stefano.
No.
And I'm going to have to probably, it's like an older house, I'm going to have to do a little bit of work on it. Should I put Cat 6 to every room, or should I put fiber to every room? What do you reckon? You know, as you're a networking guy.
Personally, I mean, you know, I've been...
And chat, what would you do?
I'm a firm believer at this point, you know, Cat 6A is probably more than anyone will ever need at this point, because you can do, I mean, 10 gig easily at this point. Of course, you know, as video games begin to balloon in the, you know, 30 plus gigs, maybe that won't be true, or 300 gigs, maybe that won't be true anymore. But with way Wi-Fi,
Cat 6 is home unless your new home is Buckingham Palace.
but with the way Wi-Fi is going, man, I'm kind of getting on board the Wi-Fi train, man. Like Wi-Fi 7 right now, I did a Wi-Fi test. Right now, you can do 2.5 gigs. 2.5 gigabit per second.
I just don't like Wi-Fi.
I agree. Because I didn't say I was replacing my house.
Yeah, Wi-Fi is okay, but when you've got lots of things on there, it's just context switching all the time from one device to another. It's not like, you know, simultaneously transmitting. It does switch, doesn't it? So
yeah, I mean, it could definitely. There's still problems with it for sure, but that's, I think right now though, today, Cat 6A easily will take you the next 10 years before Wi-Fi fully gets rid of all of its issues and problems. And hell, by then, who knows? You probably won't even like technology anymore.
Yeah, why is that?
I don't know. We'll have robots that'll do it for you.
Are you hoping to get a robot that will play Tarkov for you?
Absolutely not. But I am looking for a robot to do pretty much anything else that requires actual work.
Anyway, chat, on that note, I think we're going to have to wrap up. I'm ever so sorry. I'm going to have to run. And thank you very much, chat, for, you know, joining us for this live stream. Really enjoyed reading through your comments and making me laugh on a Saturday afternoon here in the UK.
I just saw Oak Fig's thing. Sorry.
So I just want to say thank you very much to everyone. And remember, we've got the Unraid feature bounty now. So all of you kind of like devs and power users, check it out. Go on the Unraid website and check out the feature bounty. It's an exciting project that I think a lot of people are going to be really excited about. And thank you for your time today, Stefano. I'm glad that you're feeling better. It was touch and go whether this podcast was going to happen because Stefano was ill in the week, and so luckily he has been fine, and he only coughed one time in the whole podcast, so that's pretty cool.
Been holding together really well. Also, the power didn't go out, and it's been storming this whole time. So
yeah, and my PF-Sense hard drive breaking, it managed to get it back on. So we had quite a few things that tried to stop us this month. Yeah. But we still managed to deliver, hey? Anyway, guys, take it easy. Have a great weekend, everyone, and we'll catch you in the next show.
Bye! The awkward goodbye as it continues. One day I'm just going to leave immediately after we say bye, just to like really mess with you and chat. Because I think
we're still here until I click stop.
Oh, I know. That's the best part. The awkward goodbye.